Marriage counselors, what are the most common mistakes couples make? I went to 5 sessions with my wife during a tough period. The best things we learned from that is never lash the other with past misbehaviors when trying to resolve a current issue. We have been married 17 years, so there is limitless crap we can pull out of our history together to highlight past wrongs, and that just derails what could be a quick resolution. When one half says I'm not happy about X, do not respond with okay, but I'm unhappy with Y. Fix X. Get settled. Then bring up Y if you still need to. As soon as couple stops being on the same team, fighting all the bullshit of life together, things fall apart. Get on the same team. Get behind each other's goals. If you're not on the same team, you're just going to wind up annoying the frick out of each other. All that bullshit of life is going to be beating you down, and your life partner is just going to be part of it instead of a refuge. That's kind of how my last relationship ended. We ended things before it got too bad and are still friends, but our life goals were becoming too incompatible and we knew we wouldn't both make it through to the other side. Getting married because they wanted a wedding, not because they wanted to be married. I work with couples and their relationships a lot in my line of work and do some forms of counseling, though it is not my job or training. But one of the common threads I see running in the midst of relationships/marriages that fall apart is a kind of selfishness. People that don't quite realize that marriage works best when you are both acting in the other's best interest and seeking their happiness more than your own. It crops up a lot, but not exclusively, in sex/intimacy. If your primary concern in sex is you are not going to build any kind of bond or intimate connection, and nor is it going to be much fun for your partner. Marriage is a lot about sacrifice, and the couples I see thriving are the ones who are each willing to make sacrifices for the other and for their family. Couples who get married thinking that the coming decades of marriage are going to be exactly like the dating or the honeymoon phase, when they face major challenges or speed bumps in their life together, have a real hard time dealing with it. But I thought I was supposed to be happy. When your significant other brings something to your attention that they need/want, don't react harshly if it's something they've refused to bring up sooner. Getting loud or defensive "why didn't you bring this up sooner" will make them shy away from bringing things up again due to negative reinforcement/backlash. This is especially true if they've been victims of any kind of abusive relationships. Source: literally killed my marriage because I was an idiot and didn't respond in an open, non-positive way. Bro, I feel you. Lost my girl because I couldn't see that I was acting selfishly sooner. I'm just paying for my stupidity. I really love the girl and am willing to do my best for her well-being. I just realized that a little late. Not a therapist, but I read an article once that I found very useful. I can't remember the exact terms, but basically how you react when your partner reaches out with small probes for connection. It's not necessarily big hobbies or interests, but little things throughout every day that are sort of unconscious reaches for positive feedback from your partner. For example, I see a pretty bird outside and I say "OMG, come look at this cool bird." Or "Hey, check out this song I heard that I really like." If my partner passively or blatantly rejects that, it feels bad, even if I don't always fully recognize that in the moment. Over time, those macro rejections, as I call them, start to build up, and it's why people start to feel like someone doesn't really care about them. On the flip side, even just a little bit of positive attention and sharing in a moment makes you feel so good, again even if you don't realize it. Getting up and looking at the bird is saying, "This is important to you in this moment, so it's important to me." It's basically like those other small shared experiences that build up a joint life, and if you start to neglect your partner in those small ways, you can grow distant. I try really hard now to never ignore or reject my partner's small reaches. I often don't care about the Instagram meme he wants to show me or the latest NBA news, but I'll listen or look and laugh because I want him to feel loved and appreciated. Edit. They are called emotional bids, and I found a blog post from an actual professional explaining it. Sexual incompatibility. Misunderstanding snoo-snoo as a bonding activity. When one or the other believes snoo-snoo is something one does to another, as if it was just a utility. But what do you when a couple that's sexually compatible to start with loses that compatibility? Talk. You have to talk. My marriage failed because we didn't talk. My ex said I was obsessed with snoo. The truth is she didn't find me attractive anymore. My personality has evolved and she didn't like it and didn't want me anymore. This led to me resenting her for using snoo as a weapon and things fell apart. Talk. I've been married for 10 years and my partner is an MFT. All of the suggestions in this thread are wonderful and accurate. The one thing that I want to add on to them is probably the biggest lesson that my partner and I have discovered over time. People change. You will change. They will change. It is nigh impossible to have the same relationship 2 years in that you did at the start. Don't try to hold on to it. The only way my partner and I have stayed together for as long as we have is because we were able to adapt to each other. That being said, don't try to force a relationship that's inherently dysfunctional. It's not a mark of failure for a relationship to end. Change seems scary, but the truth is you've already changed. Children. This needs more visibility. For the love of everything that is good and pure, don't bring a child into a broken marriage expecting him to be the lifesaver. It has never worked, and it will never. A child is supposed to be the consolidation of the mutual love of the couple. He arrives because the marriage is in a good place, not the other way around. I work with kids and trust me, most kids are fully aware when mom and dad are in a bad state, and he is the only reason they aren't splitting. And also I have seen the typical dumb parent who believed once the child arrived his/her partner would have a change of heart and would be a better person. Of course it didn't happen. And of course the child was caught in the middle of that crossfire. Why these people believe a child is the ultimate trump card for saving a marriage is beyond me. This is really a part of relationships. People change and one of three things happens. You change in the same direction. You change in different directions and find a new arrangement for the relationship and new personalities. You change in different directions and you don't find a new arrangement. We had some friends who got married and we tried so hard to keep them from getting married. He was immature and she was incredibly immature. She had been engaged 3 times. Each time she was dating the next person within a month of the engagement falling through. In one case it fell through less than a month before the wedding, and she was dating the new guy within a week. This is actually the 2 friends that ended up getting married. They constantly fought. I mean, constantly. I've been present when he's taking off his ring and asked if she wanted it back. Last I saw of them, they were still fighting constantly, and I'm convinced the only reason they are still married is because they are religious and don't want to be seen in a divorce or don't realize how miserable they are. I don't know if they will ever mature, but knowing each one I know that they will do so in very different directions. This is why people who have not matured should not get married. Not listening. Most people listen to respond and don't listen to hear. This is what I spend the most time teaching couples how to do. How do you do it? Maybe if you could just give me the fundamentals. I know people pay you for this knowledge. Only thing I can offer you is an upvote lol. Stop being worried about whatever cool response you think you have. Be aware when the moment happens. And listen. Expecting one person to be everything for them. You need friends, coworkers, a support system, and hobbies. Keeping secrets or lies. Failure to communicate effectively. This can be taught. The best advice I've seen online. The person you divorce is the person you married. Hacker expecting people to change who they are. Wife doing her masters in psychology and has a certificate in marriage counseling. The main mistake being the use of the word you/your or any similar words targeting the other partner in an argument. For example, you said you would do the dishes. This puts the person receiving the comment into a defensive mode and they stop listening and get defensive. Thus, communication breaks down. Biggest mistake is waiting too long to get help. Repeat issues coming up again and again will not resolve themselves. Get help before it's helpless. As I'm recently divorced marriage therapist, I cannot stress enough how important acknowledging repair attempts and keeping intimacy alive are as life-sustaining nutrients for your marriage. BTW, my ex is a therapist who changed religions and no longer thought sex was important. Husbands accidentally tripping and finding their wangs in another woman. Or alternatively wives offering a tight, warm space to a new friend's cold penis. Baby, it's cold outside. I'm just imagining the vagina lips saying this to the man in a deep smooth voice. Shudders. In my experience, the most common problem married couples experience is going to see a marriage counselor instead of a licensed psychologist. The latter has significantly more experience and training to help couples. A marriage counselor has very limited training and can very easily do more harm than good. Source: met with several marriage counselors, were terrible. Had a psychologist specializing in couples, and he saved our marriage. Keeping score. A partnership is a team, not a competition. Whether a person keeps score of everything they have done, or everything their partner has done, it is a death knell for the relationship. This is one of the most common causes of resentment in a relationship, and you see it often when people use absolute terms to describe themselves or their partners. I pointy, I always, she never. Remembering that each person has his/her own needs, abilities, skills, and boundaries is essential to a healthy couple. Expecting that because your significant other knows you better than others and is around you most, that they are aware of all of your thoughts and feelings. Your partner is not psychic, and no matter how often they are around you, or how well they know you, they cannot pick up on every nuance to determine how you are feeling and how they should respond. That is called emotional babysitting, and it cascades into a host of problems and unnecessary hurt. I have provided couples counseling at different points in my career. Some of the common mistakes I will often see are expecting partners to be able to read their mind and anticipate needs and wants. Goes with the first one. Lack of communication/comfort with discussing difficult topics. Or one partner being uncomfortable with discussion a topic which leaves both partners feeling frustrated or dissatisfied. Blaming their partner for all issues in the relationship and not taking ownership of their own role in dysfunction/issues. Not expressing gratitude towards your partner on a regular basis. Experiences and expressions of gratitude can have a really positive effect on psychological well-being as well as relational strength. Not giving intimacy in their relationship enough attention. This includes but is not limited to snoo. Many relationships start with the hot and heavy phase, where intimacy can come naturally. As this phase diminishes, many couples do not spend the time and energy to consider how to maintain a healthy level of intimacy now that it doesn't just come naturally. Not a marriage counselor, but this is what my husband and I do. I go to bed much earlier than him because I'm a teacher, so I have to wake up very early. Every night when I go to bed, he takes a break from what he's doing and comes and lays down with me for about 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes I fall asleep with him there. Sometimes we just lay and talk about our day without the distractions of our phones, work, etc. And sometimes of course it turns into sex. Either way, we do this every night without fail. Even if we are upset with each other, it puts things into perspective. It's hard to stay mad about something like not doing the dishes after dinner when we are laying in the dark in each other's arms. Edit. Lots of people are saying they try this, and they're so isn't receptive. I said this in one of my other comments, but I'm just a happy wife, not a counselor, so I'm certainly no expert. Also, my husband and I are very transparent about why we do this. It makes both of us very happy, but every couple is different. My unwarranted advice is to discuss it with your so, if you want something like this, and find an arrangement that makes everyone happy. Edit 2.0. I've never gotten to say this before, so I'm very excited to say thanks for the silver kind stranger. You made my day and I can't wait to show my husband when he gets home from work. And now thanks for the gold. This is exciting. Usually no one wants to listen to me gush about how much I love my husband, so thanks for giving me a platform to get some of this cheesiness out of my system. I also want to add one more thing, and then I need to get off Reddit for a bit, or else I'll spend all day reading your wonderful comments and I won't run any of the errands I had planned. If we are upset with each other about something, we don't just let it go because we're so in love with each other or something like that. Usually these moments of intimacy give us the necessary confidence and comfort to discuss these things together. So it also provides a good time for us to get things off our chest, so we aren't holding silly grudges about something as, comparatively, little as not doing the dishes. Divorce lawyer here. Talk about money. Talk about snoo. If you're marrying someone with a swifty credit score, you should know how and why they ended up with it, lest you find yourself in their shoes very quickly. A credit score can cost thousands and take years to rebuild. Know if they have any tax liens or liability. Are they paying child support? And do they have any kind of garnishment? Who is going to be responsible for managing the finances? How many credit cards does the other person have, and what are their balances? I've seen money kill a lot of marriages. Another one a lot of people don't think of is actually talking about snoo, not just having it. Do you enjoy the snoo you have? Would you like to have more of it? Less? Would you like to see it change? Do you or the other person have any weird kinks? Just have the talk. Different sexual wavelengths can be difficult to reconcile. Wife has degree in marriage and family counseling. One of the bigger factors in a successful marriage are couples responding to repair attempts during argument/conflict. Rescue attempts are often little jokes or olive branches to help overcome issues and arguments. Edit. People keep asking for an example. My wife didn't buy movie tickets in advance for date night this last Sunday, and it was sold out. It sucked. She laughed and sheepishly said, "Well, at least we get to spend more time together staring longingly into each other's eyes." That was her rescue attempt. It works two ways though. I also have to respond positively to it, which I did. We did a lot of staring longingly into each other's eyes last Sunday. Edit 2. I thanked my wife for the fake internet points and told her why. Her response, "That's funny because you're not even responsive to rescue attempts, idiot." I can't stop laughing. Edit 3. I'm a putz and my wife is the counselor. They are called repair attempts, not rescue attempts. Therapist here. Have served couples. Number one problem I see is overactive threat response creating anger and rigidity. People don't stop to turn down their defense mode and lose sight of love because all their energy is going towards being right or controlling the outcome. Of course that control comes from a place of fear, but fear and vulnerability feels too dangerous, so it typically gets expressed as anger, frustration, or rigidity. Surrender to not having control, accept what's in front of you, and cultivate compassion, please. Because you're rigid couples who just can't prioritize empathizing with each other over your fear response are driving me nuts. Close bracket. Edit. Just adding a smiley face, and that this is the most common case I see, not the only. There are lots of folks who won't fit this pattern. It's fear of loss, not a lack of empathy. If I'm wrong, then it means I did a bad thing in the relationship and that will harm their view of me. It's okay if they did the bad thing, because I know I will forgive them, but I can't guarantee the same in the reverse, so I must win. Currently a student in a clinical psychology doctorate program, focusing in marriage and family. If you aren't already familiar with it, I would recommend taking a look at John Gottman's work on romantic relationships. He is one of the best known researchers on this topic. Perhaps his most famous work is The Four Horsemen. In a 30-minute interview, Gottman was able to accurately predict which couples would divorce based on their interactions with each other, particularly when those interactions included criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. Research from the Gottman Institute has expanded on this to provide a pretty comprehensive list of factors that lead to couple conflict and divorce. Gottman also addresses solutions to these issues, which primarily exist within his form of couples therapy. Take this all with a grain of salt. This is one perspective on relationships, but it tends to be a pretty robust and well-researched one, and it happens to be the one I'm the most familiar with. My personal understanding on the issue is that problems arise from a lack of humility and the challenge of getting out of deeply ingrained patterns/cycles of conflict, which generally requires both partners to accept fault and extend grace. Okay guys, don't forget to hit that sub button, also ring that shiny bell, like and share too, and check out other videos in our channel.